Okay, here we are. Alt.nerd.obsessive. Worst episode ever.
Hey everybody, welcome to Worst Episode Ever, a podcast for people who love The Simpsons, by people who love The Simpsons, about how much we hate The Simpsons. We're here trying to find which is the worst episode ever, and my name is Dan.
And my name is Jack.
And we're here again. It is episode 49.
Yeah,
my God, it's 11 months in for this podcast.
Yeah,
so if we do one a week, so 52 would be a year.
So if you
know your math.
if you had sex 9 months ago,
yeah,
it would have been 2 months after the podcast started. I kind of lost that point there, but you know where.
But congratulations on having all the sex.
Yeah.
Great job, everyone. Great job, listeners. And what are we doing today? We are not talking about how our listeners are getting laid all the time.
No.
We're talking about The Boys of Bummer. That's the episode we're going to watch today. It is from season 18, originally aired April 2007. Jack, have you seen this one?
Probably if it's season 18, but I have no idea what it's about, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know what it's about either. I know it is very heavily requested from our listeners. I think we had like 8 or 9 people suggest
there's
this
a potential
one,
based on the vitriol that you guys have been giving it. We had our worst episode ever last week. There's a potential 2 worst episode evers in a row, like a quick quick D-ranking, or what
quick D-ranking.
What do you call it when you get knocked off the throne there?
That's dethroning.
Dethroning, that's it. What did I say?
Well, you get taken off a throne. What is that? D-ranking? Anyway, we're going to take a break. We're going to watch Boys of Bummer. If you haven't, you can on SimpsonsWorld.com. If you're in the U.S., if you're not, find some other way to watch it. We go through this every week.
Yeah,
Just, at this point, if you're actually watching the episodes, you know what to do.
Just take a shit, look at it,
and be like, well, that was truly the worst episode ever.
Yeah.
But it's Boys of Bummer from season 18, and while we're watching it, it will only appear as seconds to you, but it'll be a while for us. In the meantime, which will be 10 seconds, go to our website, wepodcast.com. From there, you can get to our subreddit, where we have a lot of interesting things happening. We've got our Facebook page, our Twitter feed, and, of course, cannot forget it, our Amazon links.
I think I say our MySpace page.
Oh, no. That's, well, we'll work on that. Maybe we'll launch a MySpace page and a Friendster page. But no, our Amazon links. Please, guys, you guys are so great about clicking through the Amazon links, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't. I'm talking to you, Mike.
There's got to be
some guy named Mike is like, oh my God, I'm not clicking.
And now you know.
And now you know. And I'm looking at you too, John. Jennifer. I'm just going to call people out.
Just common names.
Yeah, Greg.
Abraham.
My God, I have to go click through. That's Abraham.
That's Abraham.
Yeah.
I think that's your Abraham Lincoln, too.
Yes, it is. 80 years. I clicked on the Amazon link. What's happening?
No. A score is 20 years, so you could have just said 5 score.
Should we just start over? Hey, everybody, welcome to Worst Episode.
Let's just watch the show.
Now we can be friends again. Bart, stop! No one's mad at you anymore, right?
Yeah. Jump! Who said that?
I hate Bart Simpson!
So, that was The Boys of Bummer.
And I'm pretty bummed out.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
This is a bummer.
God, that episode sucked.
It was not great.
Yeah, it was... I think I was on record saying Lucas was one of my least favorite episodes in terms of humor. Least funniest episodes we've covered on the show. And then there was one like a couple weeks ago, maybe, or was it?
Well, last week was Blue and the Gray. So
no, I don't think it was.
That's our worst
Blue and the
right
Gray. It was one of them where I said like it was really unfunny. Where I'm talking in terms of like laughing out loud. Like we did not laugh out loud very much.
Not very much, no. But this is week 49 of this podcast adventure we're on, and they all blur together at this point.
I know. It's hard. It's hard for us. But this was definitely just not funny.
Well, this episode had a lot of problems, which we will dig into, because that is the point of the podcast.
Right, of course. So real quick plot recap.
Yes.
So Bart's in a Little League game. They're about to get to the championship. They win. Bart makes a great catch or a great home run. Anyway, he's the hero of the game. The town loves this team. They can do whatever they want. They can throw eggs at the crowd. They go very high into the championship game, where in the last inning, Bart misses an easy catch and loses the game for the entire team. Loses the whole season, basically. Loses the championship.
Yeah.
So now the entire town hates him. He's a pariah. He's the Bill Buckner, basically, of Springfield. and this makes him kind of go crazy to the point where he actually attempts suicide. He jumps from a high distance to kill himself.
Yep, and we also attempted to kill ourselves while watching this episode. The things we do for this podcast.
So Marge and Lisa basically get the town to recreate the game as a do-over, so Bart can keep his sanity, and it takes a while, but eventually Bart makes the catch and is the hero and can live the rest of his life as not a failure. There's also a B-plot. Basically, Homer is a mattress salesman.
Well, I'm a little confused which one was the B-plot and which one was the A-plot, but we'll get into that. But yes, Homer is basically a mattress salesman.
He's a mattress salesman, and then actually that's the first part of that plot, and then it turns into he and Marge are battling the Lovejoys over their mattress because it's the only mattress either couple can have sex on.
A magical sex mattress.
Yeah, magical sex mattress. So,
boy, they really ran out of ideas.
So that's those two plots. And I'm sorry if that didn't make any sense. You really should just watch the episode.
You shouldn't. You really shouldn't.
You should, but you shouldn't. You shouldn't, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Let's just start at the beginning. So it starts, as we said, with I guess the last the last pre-playoff Little League game.
Yeah, whatever
their
division series, however that works.
So there was a couple of things I did like. This episode was not without any what do you call it? A light around the cloud. What's that
Silver
called?
lining.
Silver lining, like the playbook. Yes, okay.
The original title was "The Light Around the Cloud Playbook."
David O. Russell thought this had more punch, and he was right because it won him a lot of Oscars. Anyway, we're not here talking about David O. Russell. Let's save that for I Heart David O. Russell.
Jesus. You're really flirting with disaster right now. That's one of his movies.
It is, yes. But I'm a fighter, so I'm going to get my way back into it. Got to have that American hustle to be in this game.
Three Kings.
Joy coming this Christmas. Anyway,
so it opens up with at first I was like, okay, we're going into this well. It opens up on a sign, classic Simpsons sign, and it's the Little League Stadium or whatever, and the sign says, warning, your child is not as good as you think he is.
Yeah, that was funny.
Very subtle.
I like that.
And, subtle and not subtle.
I like that. There were a lot of good moments. There was a silver lining around this whole scene, you might say.
Light around the cloud.
Well, I assume we were going to cut all of that, or I don't know what's going to happen anymore.
Who knows?
But there were a few things that were good. The Iso Tots is the name of the team. I thought that was cute.
It's not as good as the Isotopes from a couple weeks ago, or last week.
The ICE. Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, I think.
They love making isotopes into puns.
And there's a real life, right? The Albuquerque team is now actually the Isotopes in
real life.
Honor of
Yes,
the Simpsons. Yeah.
So
that's cool.
I think so, at least.
Yeah, Isotots it's fine.
Yeah. A couple of other things I liked. Nelson was the pitcher on the team, and instead of throwing the balls, he kind of throws them up in the air and then punches them, like almost like a handball type thing. But
a knuckleball, if you will.
Oh, I kind of thought that was nice. It's a little...
Yeah, it didn't do anything for me. Didn't hate it.
It's unrealistic, but I was like, oh, he punches the ball because he's a bully.
Yeah.
It was something. It wasn't nothing.
Yeah. Although at the end, when they recreate the game, I noticed he threw it. I guess the animators were done with the episode.
Got tired with it. Yeah, I think I got tired with it like halfway through this scene.
I don't know. I didn't really like most of the gags. Like, for instance, there's one very early on where the announcer says, it's a full count. No, it's not full count. It is a full count. He goes, there's 2 strikes, and Frank is like doing math in the crowd, and he says, 2 strikes by my calculations, and he's like doing all these calculations.
Yeah.
There's 1 strike left, and it's an out. And then you see his calculation is 3 minus 2
3 minus 2 equals 1.
It's like, come on.
I chuckled when he said numbers are fun.
No, I didn't like it.
But that was entirely Hank Azaria.
And the numbers are fun as again, Hank Azaria is very funny. But the numbers are fun is explaining the joke, if anything. It's not explaining the joke, but it's like, I guess they didn't think that the 3 minus 2 equals 1 was even funny enough visually, which it wasn't.
Right.
So I don't know.
They're like, it's not enough that we're like, oh, he's a science guy who, he would of course know how to do math in his head.
I don't know. See, to me, I don't know. It just wasn't very funny. I was thinking maybe they could do a cutaway where he has a big machine and it comes out and says, "There's 1 strike left." They've done that.
They've done that.
Too.
Yeah.
But I probably wouldn't have liked that either. So I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what I want.
Something I don't know either. I feel like we're both very like after watching this episode. It could be the heat. I don't know what it is.
Watching post-classic Simpsons is like eating like a turkey. It's like it's got like tryptophan in it. It just kind of deadens the senses.
Right. Most people only do it once a year, but we're here doing it every week.
It's always Thanksgiving in We Studios. Yeah. And we are thankful for when the show ends. You get to go home.
We've been here. You know, we've recorded all of this in one day, and we haven't released any of them yet.
We're thinking maybe after the first 50, we'll call it a night.
We're going to do the first year.
And we'll release them and see how they go
Yep.
before we... But I don't know. Maybe we'll stay around and just do them all. Do all 600 one night.
Who knows? I don't even know what we're doing here anymore. Some other things I did not care for in this opening scene. Homer goes to get a hot dog, and Marge is like, oh, you took forever. And he's like, oh, yeah, I lost track of time. I was watching the hot dog spin on the spinny thing. And then he's like, no more lazy Saturday for you, hot dog. And then he eats it.
What
it's just
was
like,
that?
so much of this episode was, quote, what was that? Because this episode, well, it's early to get into the overall kind of structure of the episode, but fuck it, let's just do it. This is an episode that's basically Bart messes up the catch in this big game that's coming later and becomes a Bill Buckner type pariah to the town. And I thought that was actually a pretty good idea for an episode.
Especially, I mean, I'm sure Bill Buckner felt like shit. But for a 10-year-old boy, it's a million times worse because you still don't even have the emotional growth yet to handle like a
least
huge
Bill
embarrassment
Buckner
like that.
Was a professional athlete
making
for many
millions
years.
of dollars.
Exactly.
Bart
is a 10-year-old.
Yeah,
he's
it's
very
traumatizing.
Exactly.
But yeah, they really dropped the ball.
Well,
huh? No, because he didn't get it yet.
Because he dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Okay, now you can move on.
Delightful. It just seemed like, to me, I was like, oh, this is a good idea, and there's a lot you could do with that kind of a plot.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't think, as they're making the episode, they must not have believed this was a good enough plot, because half of the episode is Homer in this weird mattress storyline.
Yeah. I wonder if it started out as like a smaller B plot and it just kind of grew and... or if it was intentional. I
wonder if they had 2 episode ideas that weren't working, and they were just like, let's just push them together.
Oh, maybe.
Just like someone had a half-written Homer mattress salesman
Homer the
concept.
mattress salesman.
Well,
I mean, look, he's had a lot of jobs before. You know, tow truck driver, driver, plow truck driver. but this one might be the most mundane. I don't know.
It was just when it started happening, I was like, are we really doing Homer the mattress salesman? And then we kind of didn't, because then it became Homer the magical sex bed guy.
Yeah, they dropped that pretty quick. We'll get into that.
But we'll get in there. My point was, I liked this concept of Bart becoming, I'm even ahead of myself because we're not even there yet, but I like the idea, like, oh, Bart was a good athlete who fucks up in a big game, and how does that affect him?
Like our worst episode ever, our current title holder, I really like the idea. It's a grounded idea.
We'll see what happens in 50 minutes.
I like the idea of Marge going gray and dealing with the consequences with that, and the same here. I really like the idea of Bart missing the game-winning ball, and then the repercussions of that, the emotional and character beats that come out of that, and of course they didn't do anything with that.
Yeah, there were no real beats.
No.
Like, okay, so Bart does make the catch in this game, and it gets them into the last game.
Yeah. Well, now that's a great way to start the arc too, because they're all
perfect.
full of their egos are huge. The team is throwing eggs at the crowd.
I want to talk about that in a second, but
But you're starting it like you have the makings of an arc, and we talked about this with I think Helter Skelter and a few other episodes where you really got a great trajectory.
Like, if you're going to do an episode where Bart becomes a pariah because he messed up in a big game, yes, you show him doing well in a first game, build him up before you take him down.
The bigger they are, the harder they fall.
It's called drama.
Yeah.
And conflict and the basic storytelling structure. I liked that. And then they go in front of the town, and that's what you were saying, where they are
like a parade
so
or whatever.
popular. Yeah, they're in like the town square, like where Jebediah Springfield's statue is. And Mayor Quimby's there, and he's so excited that they're going to bring so much attention to the town. They're definitely going to win this big game.
Yeah. They do a great way of showing. They do a great way of expressing or animating
the stakes. What are the stakes?
How well the team is now beloved and can do whatever they want by having Bart moon them, something Bart does, and the crowd cheers. I wish now this was something they kind of just like clap, and I was kind of hoping it would be like that classic Springfield mob where they go yay, really play it up, really cheering his butt. Instead it was like this kind of like, wait, are they going to be offended? Oh no, they're clapping. Okay, it was in this weird middle ground, but that's great that he's mooning them and that they like it. That perfectly encapsulates Bart being a hero.
I agree, and they also added like another weird level to it where he's mooning them and he says, "Behold my naked butt, your new god." And Flanders is the coach of the team, and he's like, "Well, Bart, don't go quite that far."
Yeah.
which was just a weird, like, religious... I don't know what that was.
I mean, if it was part of the arc where you don't want Bart's head to get too big,
I guess.
you need somebody to say it or spell it out, I guess. I didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was on religious grounds or just Flanders being Flanders.
Yeah. But then I think it was Nelson or one of the bullies was like, oh, can we throw eggs into the crowd? And then Mayor Quimby's like, of course you can. You can do whatever you want. And they start throwing eggs into the crowd. And I thought that was a great idea, like to show how high on a pedestal this team is, and it's also kind of a comment on like hero worship in sports.
And then to tie that in with how things are always a little skewed in Springfield. Yeah, like it's a great. It is hero worship. Heroes can do whatever they want.
Yep.
Celebrities can do whatever they want, but they can't really throw eggs at you. But in Springfield, they can. That makes sense. It all had an inner logic.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Springfield is this mob mentality kind of stupid town for lack of a better word.
So the next scene, Marge is like bragging about him in the store. So not only is Bart's head big and the team's head big, but also Marge and Homer are very proud, like soccer mom, Little League parents.
Right, yeah.
And that would have played well into the story, too, if they did it well. Because now you have instead of a B-plot of Homer the mattress salesman, you can have, how does Homer deal with Bart's fuck-up? How does...
Right, how does
they should have been the pariahs, too. Homer shouldn't have been selling mattresses. Everybody should be like, fuck you, Homer, your son blew us the game.
Right, because...
The repercussions.
Bart's actions have consequences for the whole family. And
they should.
The entire episode... Yeah, that's why this mattress thing was so weird, because you didn't need it. Like, just show how Bart's storyline is affecting the other members of the family.
You have your B-plot, C-plot, and D-plot with Marge, Homer, and Lisa dealing with...
Lisa is barely in this episode.
Yeah, she's not.
Not that, like, every episode needs to have a whole lot of Lisa.
Right.
But
this story naturally gives you a story for each family member. That's a very good thing to have.
It's kind of an intimate story, I guess, because Bart is struggling with something. Well, you want to see how it affects the family. How does the family deal with Bart? And you don't really get like any of that in this episode. Very little.
They do nothing with this story.
They do nothing with
it. Such a letdown.
In fact, that one scene of Marge being like, "Oh, did I mention my son?" And the cashier's like, "Yeah, you mentioned him like 5 or 6 times." That's it, really.
Yeah.
And then weirdly at the end, where Marge convinces everyone to suddenly care about Bart, but we'll get into that.
You could have had that store clerk come back, or really make it a Springfield character we know, like a Pooh or something, where she's bragging, and then later on in the episode, you have is like, "Oh, I can't believe you're Bart's son," and she could do one of those the Bible where John denies Jesus 3 times or whatever.
You're not up on your Bible. It was Peter.
Whatever. I don't know. So I figured it had. I took my chances with John. It's a common name. So somebody named John denied Jesus at some point. I'm telling you.
Are you thinking of John the Baptist, who never denied Jesus?
No. I don't know. I was thinking of the other apostle, but. Still, so you could have had this interesting. You could have played the scene again. Like how George Lucas says they rhyme.
Flip it around.
Yeah. So here's another point I wanted to bring up about the whole episode in general. I wrote down at some point, dumb script. Everything is just dumb, and it's really mostly in terms of jokes and just. It seemed very, I don't even want to say first draftish. It just seemed like everything was kind of spelled out and it wasn't very funny.
I agree with you.
The very first time I noticed it was in that first scene in the baseball game where Homer and Marge are great. And Homer says, "My son did well, so I feel good about myself." And Marge is like, "I am also happy about this." And it was the common problem of, instead of subtext, it's just text. They're literally just...
Join the Navy. Superliminal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I better go join the Navy. Yeah, so it's just this whole script has tons of that, and I really like the idea of Homer and Marge being those kinds of parents that you see at these games. And
there's a lot of satire you could mine from that instead of just saying like, "This is the thing that everyone knows."
Yeah, like he should have made somebody buy him a hot dog. Like, my son just caught that ball. Buy me a hot dog.
You owe me a hot dog.
Yeah, something like that. But instead it's just like, "This makes me feel good about myself." And
It's that Futurama thing that we talked about a while ago with the robot devil. You can't have your characters say how they feel. That makes me angry. That's basically what Homer was doing. Like, I'm happy because of my son.
Dan Castellaneta does the voice of the robot devil. Why doesn't he listen to himself?
Those words.
You'd think he'd be in the recording booth thinking, what would Robot Devil say about this Homer Simpson line?
I ask myself every day, what would the Robot Devil do? W.W.R.D.D.
Isn't that the new ball robot in Star Wars Episode 7?
Wouldn't it be great if the Robot Devil was in Star Wars? Like, he's just like, he kills C-3PO and he's like, "I'm here now." That's what I want to say.
If Disney ends up buying The Simpsons... then I'm sure at some point, like it's too soon to do it now, but I'm sure at some point, like 20, 30 years from now, when they really need a good hit, it'll be Marvel, Star Wars, Robot Devil. I guess Robot Devil's Futurama.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. They buy Matt Groening.
Yeah, it'll be Iron Man, Robot Devil, and C-3PO, all starring in Rogue 2, it'll be called.
That sounds awesome, actually.
I do kind of want to see that. I do kind of want to see a C-3PO.
All right, you know what? It's been a while since I read any of my fan fiction. I'm going to write that story.
We got to get it made before Anthony
happen.
Daniels and Dan Castellaneta are too old to be in it.
Yeah, we got to work on that.
What was the third one? What we just
Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man.
Oh, yeah, he's okay. He'll stick around. He'll probably want $90 million, but he'll make it because that movie's clearly going to be a huge hit.
That's Boffo Bucks.
That's actually going to be the name of the movie. It's going to be Star Wars Rogue 2 Boffo Bucks.
Nice. So we're going to work on that. We're going to get that out real soon. I had a point and I completely forgot what it was. Oh, yes. So you were making the point that there was a lot of lazy, kind of first drafty things. I think that's a big problem in this episode. I also think that there was kind of a number of scenes that were just these throwaway jokes that didn't make so much sense in context. Yeah. I'll give you an example. In the very first scene when they're playing that final game before the championship game, you see, like we said before, Flanders is the coach of the team, and he's wearing a black armband. And he's like, everyone do it for Willie. He made me this black bicep warmer. The joke being like, oh, you're supposed to think like Willie died. And he's wearing
you wear a black armband.
Right, that's what happens. You know, Batman and Robin wore it for a while when Superman was dead back in the 90s.
I know my uncle wore one when Jimi Hendrix died, which is...
We shouldn't laugh when we
He choked on his vomit.
We were all denied years of a fantastic musician. Anyway, but then the joke is like, then it like whip pans over to Willie, and he's just sewing black armbands, and he's like, "This is the only way I can keep myself busy."
He says it keeps my naughty hands busy.
Right. Something like that.
Something pervy.
So, like, none of that has anything to do with playing in the championship baseball game. It's just like...
No, I feel like most of the ones we watch on the show do that. I think that's very symptomatic. I'm trying to think. I'm sure the classic Simpsons had throwaway gags too, though, right? They're just funny.
Well, I guess that's the difference. That was just like kind of like... There's so many layers. It's like, well, you thought Willie was dead, but he's not dead, and he's here, and he's doing it, so he doesn't jerk off.
I have a feeling that if the episode is executing its arc and its story perfectly, you would be a lot more amenable to those sides.
I think you're right. I don't think I would notice them
because
as much.
they wouldn't be distracting. You're just like on this ride, right? You're on this like roller coaster, going with the story, and then you got there's a joke on the left, there's a joke on the right. And it's kind of like sightseeing. Whereas when you have no spine and you're just all over the place, now it's just like things being thrown in your face.
Right, exactly. Like, that was before I even noticed this, but once I realized this was not just about Bart, there was also going to be this weird mattress subplot, or, like, kind of double A plot. Once I realized that was happening, I started to notice, because in my mind, I was like, the Bart storyline is a good storyline. They're wasting all this extra time on this joke that went on for too long, and then this story arc that went nowhere.
Right, that could have been time used for story.
Yeah, it's time, exactly.
So between the two baseball games in the first act, they do go to the store, and Marge has her scene where she shows off. And that's where Homer is really tired, and he's looking for the husband chair. I didn't laugh out loud at this, because I know this because we marked the one time we laughed in the entire first act.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah. But I did like the idea of the quote-unquote husband chair, like the chair that's in the department store that's pretty much just for sitting and resting your feet, and it's for like, it's usually bored husbands, or in my case, like when I was growing up and I was like shopping with my grandma or whatever, and I was just bored.
The bored grandchild chair.
Yeah, and so I just like that idea, and then Homer is like trying to, Hibbert's sitting in it, so then he sees one across the room, but Wiggum gets there first and
pulls a gun on him. That was kind of funny.
It wasn't funny. I didn't laugh out loud, but I liked the idea.
It was like satire-adjacent almost.
Yeah, satire-adjacent.
Because it was like, oh, that is a thing that happens in stores, and like husbands do have to wait for their wives.
Yeah.
But
like, stand-up humor.
You're just showing us that. You're not really commenting on it.
They didn't do much with it. The joke is pretty much that Wiggum pulled a gun on him. Which
was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It was around this part in my notes I actually wrote, not a lot of jokes here.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe if you're going to make a joke about it, maybe you have to buy the husband chair. It's in the furniture section. And it's like, buy this, and you can sit in it, and it's literally for that.
Oh, that actually could have been funny. Like, it's $50 to sit in this chair.
Yeah, but anyway, Homer gets into the bed in the mattress section.
He finds the display bed in the mattress section, and he just says, like, oh, I'll just lay down here. But it sure feels weird to be on top of the covers, and it sure feels weird to have my pants on. So he basically goes to sleep like it's his house.
And spelling out the jokes like, yes, you're taking your pants off. Yes.
Right. Literally, just like this. I'm narrating what I'm doing. I'm taking off my pants.
I mean, I'm sure blind people watching the show appreciate when they do that. But it's like, oh, so that's what's going on there.
Just like how we visualize the show for the deaf. Our podcast. We do drawings of all the characters and everyone. And
the Wii flipbook?
Yeah, the Wii flipbook, yeah.
Available, never.
Available on the Wii Cruise exclusively.
Exactly.
For 10 Wii points.
That's where you'll get it.
Yeah.
So then the boss comes, the owner of Costington's. He's like, "What are you doing sleeping in the mattress?" And Homer sells them. There's a crowd watching. Well, I don't know why the crowd's watching him.
There's a lot of things that don't make sense. He wakes up and all of a sudden a crowd is watching him. They're literally just watching a man sleep.
Isn't that why the mattresses? I don't think I've ever bought a mattress like from a department store like that before. Like shopped for a mattress.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the beds are for? So you can lay in them and try them out. I know you're not supposed to take your pants off and sleep, but
you're generally not supposed to take your pants off in the department store, except in the dressing room, where it is encouraged.
There you go. So, but why is there like a crowd around him watching him sleep?
There's nothing interesting about it. It's Homer Simpson sleeping in a bed, and yet there's like at least 20 people crowded around watching him sleep.
So when the boss of Costington's yells at him, he goes, "Oh no, I'm actually selling this. Oh, it feels so good." And then Rich Texan's like, "I'll buy 5 of them." And it's the classic, he turns out he's a really good salesman. So then the guy goes, "You're hired," instead of "you're fired."
I don't care for the whole, like, really jowly thing. I guess it's literally the only thing the Costington's guy has.
Funny once, but yeah, it's his only thing, and it's stupid, and they should stop doing it. And then maybe they have. This is season 18.
Maybe they killed that guy off. Maybe there's a big episode about his backstory and, like, why he talks like this.
They should do a very special Simpsons episode in the comeback season of season 28 where there's a mass shooting and they kill off all of the tertiary new characters that we don't like Costington's guy, Gil.
Well, I like Gil in general. I just don't all the time like how they use him.
If it came from after 1998, I'm not on board.
All right.
And they just take them all out, and then the Simpsons learn like the value of...
That's the series finale. There's just a sniper in Springfield and just taking people out.
Yeah, it could still be lighthearted. Glee did it.
Glee had an episode with a mass shooting?
Well, no. Somebody was cleaning a gun or something, and it accidentally went off. You find out at the end. But they thought it was a mass shooting at the time.
Oh, all right.
It was a terrible episode.
I'm not up on my Glee, Jack.
It was terrible.
Okay, so then we're in the last scene, I guess, of the first act is the big game, finally, that Bart misses a very easy pop-up fly catch, and they lose the game. Before that happens, they're in a very packed stadium, and... Why did I say I like this? I did not like this, actually. This is something I really hated.
They're
very close in my mind.
It's easy to get mixed up, liking and not liking.
They're in the stadium, and there's so many people there cheering on this Little League team, and Lisa is like, "Oh, there's so many people here." I forget what her exact line was, but it was something like, "No one ever cheers on a teacher for inspiring a child." And Homer turns to her and goes, "That happened yesterday in Crazy Town." It was so bad.
Wouldn't it have been funnier and been more of like a classic Simpsons joke if they said, "No, that's tomorrow," and you see the sign and it says tomorrow,
like Teacher Appreciation Day or something
like
or
that.
Cut to someone else in the stand and it's like, "We're taking you out to this ball game, Mr. Sanders,"
instead of in Crazy Town.
Yeah, it was just like...
Yeah, no, that was terrible. I'm trying to think of like a name for that. It's not the over-explaining angry whisper. It's like the sarcastic jerk-ass voice.
Homer just fucking... It's like we said last week, just fucking be nice for 2 seconds. It's your daughter. Like,
we came so close to naming last week's episode. Be nice, Homer.
Yeah,
you fucking
idiot.
moron.
Yeah, you fucking moron. That really could be the name of the podcast overall.
The entire show. Not
just instead of worst episode ever, Simpsons podcast. Be nice, Homer, you fucking moron.
It's not Simpsons podcast. I don't know what the acronym would be, but it would not be as catchy as we.
Yeah, no, we is pretty good. So
we is pretty good is bad grammar.
Oh, we is pretty good. I don't know what that was.
There was a joke that we did like in this scene. It was the only joke in the first act that we actually laughed out loud. Right?
Yes, it was the only thing that we actually liked in the entire first act that we laughed at. They go over to the sports announcer who talks like this, and he's talking about Luigi's Pizza. He says, "They deliver on flavor, but not to your house."
Yeah,
I thought that was funny, the idea like that they would put the fact that they don't deliver in their tagline.
Like that's something, Luigi's is a shitty pizzeria. So no, it makes sense. I like that.
We like that.
And that wasn't really a very funny joke. It's just the only one that elicited an out loud laugh.
Yes.
Yeah. A chuckle.
It got a chuckle.
A col. C-O-L. Chuckle out loud.
That's right.
I'm hip. I'm with it. Emojis scare me. I don't know how to use them. I've tried. I'm trying. I don't know when to use a taco. I don't get it.
I've been using more emojis lately.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to because
kids today,
apparently
like,
they communicate.
They
with
communicate
them.
in nothing but emojis.
And so it's like a language you just have to know. So I'm trying. I don't get it. I just use words. Just use the letter. It's been working for 10,000 years.
We're going back in time. We're doing like hieroglyphics again. Pictograms.
Backwards.
Yeah. Society.
The alphabet. We've been fine tuning it for thousands of years. It's working very well.
We finally got it, guys. 26 symbols. They're each a letter, and with them we'll make words. And it's like, no, we need thousands of pictures
of tacos and devils.
Nothing but devil tacos.
Oh, man, I hate that I'm becoming an old man. Like 5 years ago, I was still like, I'm 25, but I still know what the kids are talking about, and I have
no idea.
I don't know. What's an Iggy Azalea? What is that?
It's a flower, right?
Then it comes to the big play, and all they need is Bart just needs to catch this easy pop-up fly, and they win the game. And of course he misses it, and they show it, and they're playing like the inspirational music, or it sounds like it was a rip-off of a very famous movie score, but I don't know which one. I don't know if it was The Natural or what. Mm-hmm. But they show it in slow motion, and it's that kind of slow motion. I hate this kind of slow motion when it's in live action, where it's not quite slow motion. They're showing a frame and then a few frames later.
Right, like a dissolve.
It took me a while to realize, and I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's when you see it in movies, like Lethal Weapon movies did it all the time. Mm-hmm. I think it's when you're slowing down film that you didn't. Usually you're supposed to record in slow motion. You record extra film going fast, so you have twice the amount of images in the same amount of time, and that's what slow motion is. So instead of 24 frames per second, you're shooting 48 frames. So it takes 1 second to see double the image, so it's slower. Right. So I think like in Lethal Weapon when they do it, or in like 90s action movies, they're slowing down after the fact. So it's just kind of jilted. Yeah. So they do that for this. And I didn't mind it when the ball's in the air and it's coming, and then you slowly realize Bart's missing it. But then they keep doing it because Bart doesn't just miss the ball. Right, he kicks it. Because technically he could have still thrown it to any base and got somebody out and they still would have won. Right. They really needed all 4 runs. And he kicks it and he just keeps fucking up. It's error after error. It becomes like this like slapsticky thing. Mm-hmm. And they're still doing for the first couple times, they're still doing this thing and it's just going on forever. I didn't like it. It's like, I was just getting, you can only stay in a slow motion shot for so long. Or maybe if it was actual slow motion, like Matrix-y slow motion and not this weird jilty thing, maybe it would have looked better, or they could have switched to it. But it just, after he misses the ball the first time, I was like, come on.
I didn't mind them. I don't remember even the slow motion thing happening, but I didn't mind them. Like, he not only misses it, but he keeps messing up. I thought that was fine, but yeah, the slow motion thing. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't quite laugh. I know it was necessary for the story that he like really keeps kicking the ball. Right, he's got to become hated. Butterfingers, yeah. Hey, nobody better lay a finger on his Butterfingers.
They did it.
That's right, and we also just product placed Butterfingers.
Conspiracy.
Snap into a crispity, crunchity, peanut buttery Butterfinger.
The worst episode ever podcast right now is talking about the conspiracy theory that we're doing secret product placement for Popeyes and Butterfinger.
I know you're making jokes about the secret product placement conspiracy, but didn't part of you think that like Serta or Sealy's or some mattress company maybe came to the Simpsons and was like, get people thinking about mattresses.
They don't say any of their mattresses.
They don't say any of the brand names. So I think a consortium of mattress providers got together and said, let's approach the Simpsons and we'll do a plot about mattresses.
The mattress consortium caused 9/11.
That's right.
They wanted everybody scared so they'd stay in bed and get a week off work after 9/11. Need more mattresses because they wear out quicker when you spend a week in them. That's the logic.
Oh, Groofic.
9/11, very sad day. I'm going to post on Facebook and make really weird conspiracy things and make everybody uncomfortable.
Go back to the bus stop. Oh, Groofic, go back to helmet safety. You've gotten too political for us.
Don't forget to wear your helmet.
There you go. That's what we like.
You need them for the shrapnel when they
no! We were doing so well.
Homer, we have a friend. Actually, a friend of a friend. Sex problem, eh? Homer, please, they can hear you in fine China.
So that's the end of Act 1. It ends with Bart becoming hated.
Oh, no. So everybody's like, is this the end of...
Well, that's beginning of Act 2.
Okay, all right.
Is when he
Sorry.
really...
When they're throwing shit at him in the
Yes.
stadium? Okay,
That's the beginning of Act 2. So the beginning of Act 2, everyone's really throwing things at Bart. Bart escapes out of the stadium, and Chief Wiggum is like, come on, get in. And Bart's like, oh, thanks, Chief. And he gets in the back seat, and then Chief Wiggum just turns right around and brings him in the stadium so everyone can throw things at him again.
I like that, and
that was funny.
I like that he presses a button and the squad car turns into a convertible so that they can reach Bart better.
Yep, they can actually hit
I like
him.
the idea of the squad car convertible. Well, this is jumping way ahead, but when Bart does attempt suicide and he's like hanging from a very high distance.
Yes, that happens in this comedy episode of The Simpsons, by the way. Bart commits suicide.
Wiggum actually yells out, "Jump!" It's like,
that was dark.
Yeah, come on, Wiggum. Wiggum. I've said this. I don't know if I've ever said this on the show. Wiggum is my favorite, or at least was a few years ago. I haven't really thought about it in a while. But Wiggum has always been my favorite non-Simpsons, like Springfieldian character. Usually it's either, I think for you it's still Burns, right?
Yeah, Mr. Burns.
Mr. Burns, and a lot of people say Moe. Moe was my favorite for a long time. But I think if I had to pick one, usually no matter what Wiggum says, I think it's very funny in the classic era.
Yeah.
Just Wiggum saying.
I mean, that moment of jump when Bart is like clearly psychologically disturbed.
Yeah.
It's a lot darker than Wiggum usually is. Wiggum's usually just greedy and
gather
stupid
around,
and just
around.
just like not good at his job, not actively malevolent.
Yeah. No, telling a 10-year-old boy to kill himself is
it's a pretty new low for Chief Wiggum, I gotta say.
The only people who should be telling 10-year-old boys to kill themselves is other 10-year-old boys in the schoolyard. Go kill yourself.
Who are bullying them, of course.
Go kill yourself.
But at least have free reign.
I don't know if they still say that. That was like when we went to high school. That was like the
kill yourself was like
the fuck you. Like go kill yourself.
Kill yourself. Yeah.
So I don't know what that.
Maybe
that
was
of its time.
And I came back as a ghost.
And
I haunted everybody. I actually forgot about that until you just said it.
That to the very end.
That's the last moment. We'll get there.
If you haven't watched this episode and you're just following along with us, at the very end, we're going to talk about the ghost sex scene.
There's a ghost sex scene, yeah. So the next day, they're back at the house, and it's the morning, and Bart's error is in the paper. And they're all talking like, oh, we got to hide this from Bart. You know, he probably feels terrible, blah, 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 blah. And then Bart comes down, and they're talking about it, and Homer does his terrible it was over-explaining angry whisper.
Yeah, it wasn't angry, but it was over-explaining.
It was over-explaining whisper. And he's like, I don't even remember what the setup was, but it was basically they were just talking about it. And Homer's like, "We were just talking about this."
Yeah, no, Marge was, and it was kind of adorable. It was a good Marge delivery. Marge was trying to pretend that they didn't know anything about the game. They were trying to ignore it for Bart's sake. So she's like, "What game? Was there a game?"
Right.
And it was cute to see her like really bad acting, faking that she doesn't know about the game. And then Homer is like, "Come on, Marge, you the game that Bart blew."
Yeah. Where'd you keep the drugs, Falcone? So you think it was good that Marge was being like a loving parent and Homer was not good as being a horrible monster?
Yeah, in terms of act delivery. I don't know about I did like to Homer, at first Homer veers from jerk-ass to caring father for whatever the writers need for the joke, and it's really terrible. Yeah. And it's so much better when Homer's trying to be a good dad and sucking at it.
He can still be funny.
Yeah, so he's holding up a paper and Bart's coming, and at the sports page, Bart blows the shot or whatever. So he quickly throws away the sports page, but the business page is under that, and it says, Bart's error weakens dollar.
Yeah, I thought that was really
a great
good.
gag. Yeah, and again, it's Homer fucking up naturally and not being a jerk ass. He was trying to help Bart by throwing away the sports page. Mm-hmm. And then the next second later, you could have something like Homer being like, "Hey, Bart, read this page. You're an asshole." It just sucks that they keep going back and forth for whatever the joke
I'm kind of surprised it hasn't gotten to that point where just Bart walks in a room and Homer pushes him and goes, "You're an asshole."
So season 27, we're holding out that it's going to be the perfect comeback season, but there's still an equally good chance that it's just going to be Homer pushing Bart. You're an asshole.
I just want.
And then a mass shooting takes out all the tertiary characters.
I would kind of love an episode that's nothing but that. But Homer just pushing people and being like, "You're an asshole." And he just moves down the line.
Mr. Simpson's not that Mr. Simpson. Mr. Simpson.
Some people are just jerks. Anyway,
I like that. Oh, so when he does the angry whisper, Marge chastises him and says, don't you have a mattress job to go to? Aren't you a mattress salesman now?
Yeah.
I did like I know you don't like the meta jokes as much as I do. I liked where Homer goes, oh yeah, let's see where that goes.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
I like that line where they're acknowledging
It's
like
too cutesy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I agree. I don't like when they get too cutesy. But I guess I like it when the delivery works and when it fits naturally in. It's not shoehorned in. Pop, pop, pop. I don't know. I liked it in that situation where it's like, oh yeah, let's see where that goes. It worked for me. Sometimes it doesn't.
All right.
Sometimes it does. Can't really give you a good reason why.
Nope, no, you can't.
I tell you how I feel. So that's
right.
That's what I do.
That's what we is doing. Okay, so we do go back to Homer's mattress salesman plot. And it's so weird that suddenly the mattress salesman is who people are going to for love advice. Because Reverend Lovejoy and Helen come in.
Well, before that, I did like... I didn't really... Again, this episode, I didn't like most of the jokes. I thought the script was dumb, and a lot of the jokes... even if I didn't mind the idea of the joke, they usually were just delivered in the just lamest, most plainest way.
Yeah.
One line I did like, he does something with a poo. He's selling a poo mattress. It wasn't funny, but when a poo lays down on the bed, he goes, oh, it's like floating on a river of corpses.
Yeah,
I
that
just
was
like
a funny line.
That was a funny line. I just wanted
and that was a good spot for it, too.
Yeah, I just want to point that out. But so then that pretty much wraps up the Homer the mattress salesman's arc, because then it's the Lovejoys.
Then it becomes, he's helping the Lovejoys bone.
Yeah, they said
we
we need a mattress that helps us have sex.
Right, and I don't know why they're talking to Homer about this. Even if it was just a normal mattress salesman, you wouldn't talk to him about it. But when it's Homer Simpson, the mattress salesman, it's doubly bad.
Yeah, go to a marriage counselor. That's probably why you can't get your thing hard when you're with your wife.
Yeah, that's why you deny her 3 times.
Probably not the mattress. Get a waterbed. He sells them the mattress.
He sells them a mattress, and then we'll revisit that in a moment.
So then it goes to the Bill and Marty, the radio DJs.
Yes.
We don't see very often on the show.
Not the classic
Me and
years.
you see them every day.
Well, yeah, because they're here in Wii Studios.
We have some fan of the show made a really cool diorama of Wii Studios that we keep in Wii Studios.
I believe it was Casey, right?
Yes, and she used Bill and Marty as me and you.
Yes.
So I'm actually looking at them right now.
Yeah,
but,
me
in
too.
terms of post-classic episodes, we don't really see them that often. And they changed the name of KBBL to the Bart Sucks radio station.
Yeah.
And I just want to kind of say that would also be a great alternative title for worst episode ever. It's just Bart Sucks Radio.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's kind of what we've become at this point.
That's not bad.
And the Bullies recorded a song.
I liked this. I think I liked it more than you did. They cut to the Bullies. It was Dolph and Kearney and Jimbo singing in a phone booth, singing "Bart Stinks" like a parody of the J. Giles band.
It was a phone booth?
I think so. Yeah,
I thought it was like the recording booth.
It was like a payphone.
Station. Oh, okay.
That they were singing.
They
into.
called in. I got it.
Yeah, they called in. It was stupid. It was really stupid, but I liked it. And then I especially liked Bart listening to it and being like, "Oh, everyone hates me." And then he gets up and he's like, "I can't listen to this. My favorite song anymore."
They ruined my favorite song.
Right,
yeah.
"Love Stinks" by the J. Giles Band. And he gets up and takes off all these J. Giles Band posters from his wall. I actually liked it.
I feel like we said this before on this podcast, but J. Giles is a very funny name for a band, and it's funny when they do a J. Giles Band reference.
It is. You're right.
So I appreciate. I did like that part. I didn't care for the Bullies singing, but
it worked for me just because it was so stupid. Just Bart Stinks. yeah. So real quick before we move on, right after the J. Giles thing, Lisa comes in, one of her rare appearances in this episode, and says, "Bart, I think you need to talk to somebody who can help you." And he goes, "Oh, my rabbit Cottontail?" And then she goes, "Oh, no, Bart, or my rabbit Cottontail that went to go live in a farm upstate." And Lisa's like, "No, Cottontail died. Dad buried him in the backyard," though not in that order. That was dark.
So first of all, Bart's not in the best place right now to tell him that he's clearly Bart has an affection for rabbits because his favorite childhood toy was Mr. Honey Bunny. So not the time to tell him that his rabbit's actually dead
and was buried alive by his father,
which is terrible on Lisa's part, very terrible on Homer's part.
Yes, be nice, you fucking moron. Dig up the rabbit after you've suffocated.
Jesus Christ!
I don't know.
So I don't know what that was terrible. That was just like adding insult to injury there.
Yeah.
And not in the actual story way. It was in terms of like you're insulting us.
Bart was injured,
watchers.
and then we were all insulted.
Yeah.
But instead of the rabbit, they take Bart to meet Joe LaBoot.
Yeah.
who is, I guess, a pretty thinly veiled Bill Buckner
Yeah,
stand-in.
he's older. He played in the 1943 World Series.
Right.
He's fake. He's played by Hank Azaria. Now, I like the idea of bringing in a professional player as an analog for Bart. I'm wondering if maybe they tried and failed, but why not get Bill Buckner, especially... Now, Bill Buckner, if you don't know, he did the same thing. He blew a play in the
World Series.
86 World Series, and I think it was Game 7, or it might have been Game 6, led to Game 7. In any case, he was very much blamed for the Red Sox losing to the Mets.
Right.
And the Red Sox curse continuing for another until it was convenient
18 years,
for season 2 of Lost for the Red Sox to win. That's a conspiracy there. J.J. Abrams fixed the
World Series in 2004
series so that the Red Sox could win, so that Ben Linus could use it as proof to Jack that they're on
he's been off the island or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway. Bill Buckner. So Bill Buckner could have done this, and it's actually funny if he said no, because he would have been game for it, and he would have been funny, and we know this because of Curb.
Because Bill Buckner did the same thing almost identically. On a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode in 2011. That's a few years later. Larry David's show. Yeah, that's 4 years after this episode aired. That's obviously Larry David.
And it's a really funny thing about how Bill Buckner has kind of like come to terms 20 years later with this huge mistake. And then the episode ends with a great climax where a baby is thrown into the air.
Right.
And Bill Buckner
he's like, I got it. And he has to make the catch. That happens in this episode, though, too.
Yeah.
Where this Joe LaBute, or whatever his name was. Not Neil LaBute. The director of The Wicker Man, starring Nicolas Cage. And good movies also, but more importantly, The Wicker Man. Where he is going to try and save Bart after Bart jumps off the water tower, and he doesn't. So
it's really funny that that Curb came after and did the same thing, and that Curb episode's really good.
It's a great episode.
It's really funny.
Yep.
Bill Buckner is great. He's not an actor.
No, but he was very funny in that episode.
So it's I wonder if they tried and failed, or they didn't think to, but they should have gotten Bill Buckner for this part. It would have been very funny.
Yeah, I agree.
Just pointing that out.
I thought it was a good idea from a plot perspective, but I didn't think it was funny, particularly the way they did it, where this guy is telling Bart, like, you just have to move on, like, I live my life and I don't worry about this thing or what other people think of me. And he's like, maybe I'll do that. And he's like, wait a minute, are you Bart Simpson? And he turns on Bart as well. I thought that was a good idea, but none of it was funny.
It wasn't executed very well. I didn't really like Hank Azaria's delivery. Well, he does this voice a lot of the times.
Yeah.
It's kind of like his older straight man voice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. For some reason, that voice never really does it for me. It's not very funny.
Yeah, it's just whatever.
But yeah, no, none of that really worked for me. I agree. And again, it just reminded me that the story they had could have been so good. Bart being a 10-year-old Bill Buckner or Joe LaBute or whatever. Shia LaBeouf. But just having Bill Buckner, and again, making me think of that Curb episode, it just really made me bummed that they had this great plot.
Concept, yeah.
And they could have done so much. You could have had the Marge arc, the Homer arc. You could have done so much with it, and they did nothing. They basically just did, everybody hates Bart. Bart is sad and then eventually crazy.
Yeah.
It's just such a bummer.
And then it cuts back to the mattress storyline, where Helen Lovejoy and Reverend Timothy Lovejoy show up at the Simpsons house, and they're like, that mattress you sold us, it's not doing anything for our love lives. Which, why would they do that? They went all the way to Homer's house just to, say this?
Why wouldn't you return it to the store?
Right, just return it and be like, all right, we'll find something else. Why is Homer, the guru of your lovemaking? Why would you keep coming to Homer Simpson?
And then Homer very calmly says, okay, I'll write you a check. I'll take the return. Why are you paying out of pocket?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Why are you doing the returns for the store? Honestly, it's like it was written by, a 12-year-old. I just marathoned the Fast and the Furious series with my girlfriend.
Okay.
And then I found this great Onion video from a few years ago, the Today Now, their fake morning talk show, which is always very funny. Yeah. And it's a really funny video where they interview the screenwriter of the Fast and the Furious series, and it's a 5-year-old boy. And it's really well done. And they have the boy, it's like, I just wanted a car to come off a train, and then the train to explode, and then and it was really funny stuff. And this reminds me of as if a 5-year-old wrote it, and it's just like, doesn't give a shit about logic. And it's just like,
no logic
and then
at all.
Homer writes a check to return the thing, and I mean, again, that would be a very talented 5-year-old, but
yeah, no,
it's still really it's very untalented for who. The guy who wrote this episode wrote Pennywise Guys, and
that's the only other episode we've done.
And it just
name is I don't have.
I mean, again, I don't like
Michael
to blame.
Price
I don't like to
episode.
blame specific people because the whole room worked on this, and there's no excuse for it to be this bad.
This is no one person's burden.
Yeah, this is
when an episode's not
first drafty, but that's not even the core of the problem. It's also bad. It's just I don't understand.
It doesn't make sense because then all of a sudden, I don't even remember why. All of a sudden, they're in Homer's bedroom and looking at Homer's mattress.
And they said, "What? Oh, and they liked it. We're sitting on it, and they found that they could.
But why are they coming in the house at all? Like, why are they coming into Homer's bedroom?
Oh, so he could write the check.
I guess. Is that what it was?
I guess.
And then they get on Homer's mattress and they start making out, and they're like, "We want your mattress." And Homer's like, "Okay, let's swap mattresses."
Yeah, he's fine with it.
What the fuck? What is happening?
Yeah, I don't understand any of the motivation, and I don't
Who
even like
buys
to use
someone else's mattress?
Yeah, I don't even want to like give this story the respect of using terms like character motivation, but it is weird that Homer is just literally acting out the plot. There's never a moment where he goes, "Okay, yeah, sure, I'll sell you the, I'll write the check. Okay, I'll give you my mattress." He's just doing it. You have no idea what's going on inside his head at all.
No, and just jumping ahead, this storyline started as Homer sells mattresses, and it becomes Homer and Marge have a magical sex mattress where like they have sex on it all the time.
The mattress salesman thing is gone for good.
Yeah, it never doesn't come back.
Yeah.
Does not come back. And they give Reverend Lovejoy their mattress, and then they find they can't have sex on the new mattress, so they break into Lovejoy's house and have sex on the mattress in his house. It's all very, very strange, and it doesn't make... And then they cut the mattress in half, and then they have sex on half of a mattress outside behind a billboard.
All right, I do want to say I like the visual of Homer and Marge on top of a mattress tied to the car. Like on top of a mattress, on top of a car, on top of SpaghettiO covered with cheese. I like that visual. It's because it's one of the... I like visuals where it's something you could see in real life, but you don't, and the idea of a couple having sex on a mattress on a car. I like that.
Okay, fair enough. You like seeing couples have sex on mattresses on cars.
Look, if you go into my Google history, you're going to find
I would never look in your Google history,
find
sir.
a lot of mattress fetish porn.
And penises, because as we all know, you've seen better. You got to see them somewhere.
I've seen better mattresses.
Homer and Marge are trying to snuggle, and they're like, "Oh, it's not working." And Homer just goes, "Oh, yeah, I traded the mattress." But we had literally seen it 30 seconds ago. And it was another thing, just like, I'm narrating the plot.
And they do it's very drawn out. He goes, "Oh, no." And it's a close-up. It seemed like they were setting up a gag where it's like...
There was no gag.
Where he's going to say something different than you think, like the old one, too. So I thought it was going to be that. No, like you said, he literally just repeats what we just saw. It was so
it was very
awkward.
weird.
It was so awkward. I don't know what happened with this script. I don't want to say anything certain because I don't know what they do and how these things come about. But I really feel like they just didn't do enough drafts on this. Like, I'd be surprised if they did 2. But honestly, I feel like compared to the classic where they did dozens, if not 100.
Yeah, it just feels very thrown together.
That has to be it. I can't imagine you going over this episode more than 1 or 2 times and not fixing a lot of these problems.
Yeah. So then they wake up the next morning.
The sunrise animation, and it opens with Lisa waking up, was very pretty. It was very well done. It was very shaded. This was before the HD.
This was just before it.
I just want to point that. I was very impressed by the shot of the sun rising on Lisa's face.
We'll take good things wherever we can find them.
Yeah. Especially because it's the only time I remember Lisa being in the episode.
Yeah, right. And then Lisa goes outside and sees that someone has spray painted "I hate Bart Simpson" not only on their house, but on every house in the neighborhood.
All of Springfield, basically.
Yeah, all of Springfield has "I hate Bart Simpson" just... It wasn't even spray paint. It looked like actual
paint. It was oil paint, Flanders said.
Oh, that's right.
Because there's a whole gag where he tries to wash off the paint, and it's oil-based, and he freaks out, and he yells at his son, and it was stupid.
He's like, it's oil-based. We need the turpentine. Go get it. And Rod's like, it's in the thing. And he's like, you just fetch it. It's just, I don't know what it was. It was just not a joke. It was just pointless.
Flanders being funny, they think is funny, and it's not. Not if the context is not there.
Yeah, and then we pretty much find out right away that Bart is the one who's been painting this in all the houses because he's lost his mind. He's gone crazy, and he's like, "Look, I hate me as much as everyone else hates me."
And that's actually a nice plot development if there was anything around it to support it like that. I would have been like, "Oh, that's a cool twist," even though I saw it coming. But like, I can't even give it points for that just because the whole thing was such a mess anyway. It's like,
right.
Whatever.
Well, it's just very, we skipped steps to get there. Like, we haven't seen enough of Bart being inconvenienced, I guess, for lack of a better word.
So I like the idea that it was him painting it, and I like the idea that his rationale was he wanted to say, like, I'm with you guys.
It's a great idea.
It's a great idea. What I hated was that he was full out crazy. Like, his eyes were twitching and going in different directions, and he had literally just lost his mind.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons is you just said, we needed more scenes of him seeing his repercussions. But even if we got more scenes, it wouldn't have helped in this script because they did, again, it was such a great idea. Bart does something really humiliating and embarrassing as a young child, and how do you come back from that? We all do it.
Yeah.
We all have like that moment where like, oh man, we just totally embarrassed ourselves, or we fucked up. Grounded idea, great to work with, but you don't go crazy from that. Some people might, but you don't just literally turn insane.
You don't just snap right away. Well, some people might.
I'm trying to think of what I would like, but I don't. But I would probably spend more time than 15 minutes on the script. I think they did only spend 15 minutes. But I was hoping it would be more grounded. How does Bart react to this? And it would be good to have Homer and Marge and Lisa
like
as
we were saying
well,
before.
because that would fill up time. But it should have. But in terms of strictly Bart responding,
we're never like in Bart's head, really.
Exactly.
Like, we never see the effect on Bart. It's just all of a sudden he's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I hated.
Lazy.
I hated that insanity was the repercussion of a very grounded, real thing that happens to children.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
it's a convenient kind of like story trope. Just be like, oh, and then Bart's crazy.
And then he running crazy, yeah. Like, it really, I would have much rather have seen, I don't know what specifically, but I'm not writing the script, they should be, instead of drawing pictures, or it's just like Bart crazy, and Bart equals crazy, and then giving it to the animators. But no, it should have... I think they really dropped the ball on what Bart's reaction to this Bill Buckner plot is. Like,
right, I agree.
What did Bill Buckner go through? Did he become a drunk? Maybe Bart goes on a squishy bender.
Well,
so, you know,
Curb Your Enthusiasm dealt with that.
yeah, exactly. And it's just, it was such a...
Basically, I wish we had been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, because it's such a great show.
Well, you should curb your enthusiasm, because we're not.
All right, I will.
No, so it was such a bummer that this really grounded premise, they blow it by having Bart go crazy. And that's it.
And not only is he crazy, but he's on this water tower painting I Hate Bart Simpson on a water tower, and he just jumps.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue he was like falling, or he was crazy. He's not.
But it seemed pretty conscious.
You could argue that he wasn't strictly trying to kill himself, but it sure seemed like he was.
Right. He just jumps, and no one catches him. As we were saying before,
I was waiting for
the Bill Buckner stand-in tries to catch him and fails, but we just see Bart just hit the ground.
Yeah,
he hits a bush. I think
he lands in shrubs, and that breaks his fall.
I guess.
So not only does not anybody save him, but he's basically, if that bush wasn't there, he would have died.
He'd be dead.
And you don't have to worry about that, because it's The Simpsons. You know Bart's not going to die. So even shrubs aside, the fact that the character choice that Bart
jumped off of something with the intention of killing himself. Yeah,
Bart,
that's dark.
Like, we're going to say that again. Bart attempted suicide.
In this episode, yeah.
Come on. I mean, I know Homer tried almost attempted suicide in season 1 in Homer's Odyssey, my favorite episode of the season.
Right.
That was what the episode was about.
Yeah,
they built up to it, and it was super sad.
Yeah.
I
can't take it anymore.
I'm going to slit my butt.
I'm going to cut my butt wide open and just bleed out my butt.
That's a great episode.
That's a great episode, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's the end of Act 2.
But besides that, this might be one of the few times, besides Moe and Moe's Soulmate, where we see the main Simpson character literally attempt suicide, and it's just, no.
No,
like,
I agree.
I know it's not fair for us to tell the writers to do anything if they can pull it off, but no attempted suicide. No.
Right.
That's where I'm drawing the line.
Yeah. I agree.
Before we move on, about that water tower, Lisa sees him from the living room or wherever. They see the water tower outside their house.
Yep.
And I really did like the where she goes, "Mom, look!" And Marge goes, "Oh, look at that!" And
squinting,
like, and
she
then,
can't really
like
see.
She's just pretending she knows what she's seeing. And Lisa's like, "Mom, put on your glasses."
Right.
She's like, "Oh, I don't like the way
make me look dowdy."
And she make me look dowdy. And then she puts them on their big like Where's Waldo glasses.
Yeah.
I liked both of those beats of that whole gag. I like the idea
that was good.
Marge hiding the fact that she can't see, very Marge thing to do.
Right.
And then on top of that, the visual gag of the dowdy glasses.
Yeah.
It was just a great, like, why couldn't the whole episode be like that?
I agree with you. Not that it was like laugh out loud funny, but it was just a fun character-based thing that made sense in the story.
Funny, visually funny.
Yeah. So yeah, basically in Act 3, the town is still angry at Bart.
Yeah.
Which is weird because Bart has attempted to kill himself.
Yeah, you think they'd feel a little bad
You think they'd
about
feel
that.
a little bit of sympathy. They don't. The only time they do feel sympathy is when Marge is like, hey, you guys should feel bad. And they're like, oh, yeah, we should. And then all of a sudden, everyone is obsessed with making Bart feel better.
Lisa comes up with a plot to recreate
the last
game so that he can make the catch and feel better about himself. And the only way this works is if the entire town is in on it. And they are. They're fine with it. And
None of that makes any sense. Why would all of a sudden they all hated Bart?
Again,
didn't care that he killed himself.
Had the same problem a few weeks ago with the Passion of the Christ plot with Flanders, where everybody loved Ned's Christian violent movies, and then Marge says, "I don't like this," and then everybody goes, "Okay, neither do I."
Marge doesn't like it. Marge must have a lot of pull in Springfield.
Well,
I think that's what we're learning.
It's because she makes those Rice Krispie squares.
And she was the listen lady.
Earns $15 for the big sale.
Maybe headcanon Simpsons, when Marge was the listen lady, right? You remember that episode when she worked for the church and was giving
County of
advice?
the Planet of the Apes.
She got dirt on everybody in Springfield, and now
So she just
Marge
blackmails.
is running this town behind the scenes. We just don't know
every
about
time
it.
there's like a character motivation that we don't understand,
Right,
it's
and-
like, why is that there? We're assuming that a headcanon, behind the scenes we're not seeing, Marge is calling them up and blackmailing them
Marge's been
with
like,
their mattress porn.
Be a shame if those pictures came out, wouldn't it, Chief Wickham?
So Lisa has to convince everybody, and she tries to convince the broadcaster who was doing the Little League games to rebroadcast.
Yes.
And it's Harry Shearer doing the broadcast. And nothing he said in this episode was particularly funny. That's why we haven't brought it up. But he's still doing a great job. We've said before, Harry Shearer does a great broadcasting voice.
He's parodying Vin Scully. Is that who it is? I think.
I guess. I don't know.
Because I remember from the Gabbo song, I can imitate Vin Scully. Let's take a time out.
Yeah,
he's the same voice.
Yeah, and he's doing that broadcasting voice, and he does it all the time. And sometimes it's funny.
I'm just trying to sound like I know baseball stuff, which I do not. I thought it was Joe Buck, not Bill Buckner. Those are two very different people.
So, yeah, but he does a great job. But this is the first time I didn't like it because now he's not. I think it's the first time we've seen his broadcaster not broadcasting, but talking in a conversation with Lisa. And Lisa's like, "I'd like you to do this," and he doesn't want to do it. And he's talking like a broadcaster, like he's broadcasting the whole time. And I thought it was too cartoony. It was stupid.
Well, but it was especially weird because he's talking to Lisa, and then he does a plug for this Farmer Dan's sausage, and then Lisa's like, "Oh, would you eat one right now?"
Yeah.
And he won't. Like, apparently it's disgusting, and that's how she kind of blackmails him into doing this. But did she know he was going to talk about Farmer Dan's sausage?
I didn't even think about that.
None of it didn't make any logical sense.
It was written by a 5-year-old. Nothing makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm surprised spaceships didn't show up, and I guess they did in the Man Who Came to Be Dinner. But
that's true.
No, so it was. But I just really didn't like Harry Shearer doing his broadcasting voice in conversation. It was too much.
Yeah,
it was too much. It really took away from
it would have
a thing that's usually perfect.
If he had used his Harry Shearer voice, like because the guy's not broadcasting.
Yeah, exactly.
This is his normal speaking voice.
That would have been great.
Yeah,
because the reason Harry Shearer's broadcaster is so funny is because it's usually he's saying very funny things in a broadcasting capacity as his Vince Scully or whatever voice that is. Where that's the joke. That's what's funny about it. It goes, and here come the pretzels.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's funny, but I don't know. I hated that. I really didn't like doing that.
I kind of liked. So Lisa kind of takes care of the broadcaster, and Marge takes care of the other team. I guess I don't know if it was Shelbyville or whoever they were that they were playing in the championship, and convinces the coach to play the game again, which I don't understand why they ever would because they won. But she's like, "Oh, okay. If you do it, you have to do something for me. You have to pretend to be my wife when so and so comes over." And Marge is like, "Oh, well, then you have to pretend to be my chauffeur, and then you have to pretend to be." It just like was a building like sitcom-y kind of things and what you'd have to do. I kind of liked it.
I kind of liked it too. I don't know what I didn't like about it. I like the idea. I'm just going from my gut here. I don't really have a rational explanation. It didn't quite work for me. I don't know why.
I feel like at this point in the episode, I was just trying to like anything.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it was the direction. Yeah. Maybe it was because it was a master shot. I don't know. I did like the idea of them all coming up with these like romantic comedy plots, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I did like, so real quick detour back to the mattress plot.
Yeah.
They go to steal their mattress back.
Which we mentioned. They break into Lovejoy's house.
I did like that as they're breaking in, they're dressed up as cat burglars. They're all in black, and Homer just starts going with like making the cymbals, the jazz, like. I like that he was doing it. I thought that was like a silly joke. I don't know.
Yeah, it was silly. It was all right.
But I appreciate it. I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that kind of the end of the mattress plot where they end up cutting it in half and then having sex outside.
We'll wrap it up at the very end of the episode, the ghost sex tangent that we keep teasing.
Yeah, stay tuned. But yeah, then they end up playing the game again. All of Springfield comes to watch it. I don't know why they want to now.
Unless your listen lady blackmail theory holds. Yeah. There's really no reason. Not only do they do this, they really invested in it because Bart misses the catch again.
Yes.
And now they have to keep
keep coming up with excuses like, oh, we need to do it again because the sun was
one of
here.
them is Mo goes, that didn't count because there's a naked man
was on the field.
And he takes off his clothes and jumps. Now, I know it's Mo, but still the idea of taking off all your clothes and humiliating yourself like that is a pretty big sacrifice.
Right.
Which
Mo was the one who led the charge against Bart.
Yeah. They hated Bart, and it just
there's no reason for it.
Yeah, it just accentuates how ridiculous the 180 they pulled, where they were just like they hated him, now they love him.
It's just like, oh, it's the end of the episode. Okay, everyone loves Bart now.
First they hated each other, and then they love each other. I don't get it.
Of course not. You're a robot. Good visual humor for the podcast.
And soon. I did like, so after all these catches, it's like now hours later, which I did the math. They said the 75th time is the charm. That means it was 75 pitches.
Yeah.
That's like 2 hours in standard baseball. That shouldn't have been sunrise. But anyway, I do like that they're showing, like, everybody's leaving, which again doesn't make sense. I thought you really cared about Bart and you wanted to be there for him, but now
no one's motivations make sense.
But no, this was one of the worst motivation in every capacity episodes we've seen. Yep. But I did like that to show how tired and how dragging it is. They play a slowed down, tired version of "Take Me Out to the Ball Game."
Oh yeah, okay, that was nice.
Thought that was I liked it. It worked well.
Yeah. So eventually, it cuts to 60 years later.
Oh well, yeah, he makes the catch finally.
Well, yeah, he finally makes the catch,
and
after multiple tries.
Yeah. So,
but then we go forward into the future for 60 years later, where Bart and Milhouse are at the Springfield retirement home, which they're only 70.
Yeah, they clearly look like they're in their 90s. They're very old. They're in wheelchairs.
Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't 80 years later.
Like right now in 2015, 70 is like the new 50 practically.
Yeah.
Depending on your health and stuff.
Yeah.
It kind of scares me that my dad is in his 70s.
Yeah, my dad is 70.
He totally seems the same as when he was in his 40s.
Right.
So it's weird. But it really doesn't make sense for them to be so old, especially if I'm assuming in the future with nanobots and everything, they'll probably be even younger. Yeah. It's like 70 with the new 30.
Yep.
But I did like the animation that Bart was wearing the same like bolo tie that Grandpa always wears.
Yeah.
That's a nice
little
touch.
I feel like they always do that kind of thing where when you see Homer or Bart in the future as old men, they generally do look a lot like Grandpa, or they give more Grandpa-like features to kind of put that continuity in there.
Yeah, definitely. So I do like that a lot.
But none of it was funny. None of this epilogue was funny. It was Milhouse tells Bart that everyone did it as a favor to him, I guess.
He finally lets it slip.
And then Bart is like, "What, really?" And then Milhouse is like, "No, I was just kidding."
Yeah, because Bart freaks out again. He goes right back to that same place.
He goes back to being like crazy, twitchy, crazy nut job.
And so Milhouse has to placate him. Yeah. So that was terrible. It was not funny. Here's what I hate about it. Besides the fact that you lose all the arcs about what's it like to be Bill Buckner and what is the character. How do you respond to that? How do you live your life? How do you go through life as a pariah in Springfield? Besides all that. Basically, the resolution is terrible. They go through this ridiculous extent to recreate the game to make Bart feel better.
Right.
Now, shouldn't the lesson, if there's a moral lesson here, shouldn't the lesson be like, look, everybody screws up. Everybody has humiliating, embarrassing things happen to them. Everybody is humiliated, not just embarrassed, humiliated at some point in their lives, especially in your childhood, especially when you're not emotionally mature enough to even handle it.
Right. And not everyone gets these do-overs.
Yeah, basically you learn from these and you become, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Right,
and
you improve for next time.
You have to learn to live with these kind of things. And basically you learn, life's not perfect. You're going to screw up.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, life is more of a string of screw-ups than anything else.
Life goes on, and so do we.
That's something
emptiness.
Yeah. So you got away from that. But
they usually do.
No, but basically the lesson should be that life.
You don't need to make the big catch to be happy.
Yeah, you don't need to make the big catch.
Right.
Most people don't.
Most people don't get 78 chances to try again.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be offered those chances.
He shouldn't need those chances to live a happy life.
Yeah, and the fact that 60, 70 years later, he still needs to know that he made that catch to be happy.
Yeah.
Come on, that's terrible.
It's terrible. I agree. It's a
writing.
minor point though in the overall scheme of this bad episode.
It's just like cheating. And again, if they had they had the arc there. They always have all the pieces in place, and they just don't put them together.
Yeah,
they had it where Bart was mooning the crowd, and everybody loved him. And
he's on top of the world.
Top of the world, and he's full of himself. His head got too big. Mm-hmm. Like that's the perfect way to learn the lesson that you're probably going to be a screw up, and most of us are screw ups, and that's how we get.
Okay.
We die screw ups.
We are all screw ups.
Please listen to our podcast.
Yes.
So it's really just amazing how at every single point in the story they just blew it and blew it hard.
Yeah. And the ghosts come in.
And the ghosts come in.
So we pan away from the retirement home into the sky, where Homer and Marge appear as they would appear in a normal time.
Except,
but they're ghosts.
So either they died at the same age, or they're
right.
pulling a Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
You come back as at your best time.
And then I remember what they said, like, "Oh, we're so worried about Bart. Yeah, he'll be fine. Let's go have ghost sex."
Yeah.
And then Marge is like, "Ghost sex isn't a thing." And
yeah,
Homer
I'm assuming you
says,
can't put the thing in the other thing because you're both
right, because
translucent.
they're both ghosts. And then Homer's like, "Oh, but you were moaning last night." And she's like, "Because I was a ghost."
And then she moans.
Yeah.
Ooh.
End of episode.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible. Oh,
It was awful.
Terrible.
It was awful.
What was the... Again, I can't think of any other rational explanation for this episode except, again, that it was a first draft and maybe there was like a fire drill or fire and they didn't... like they had to... Whatever was on
and
the
they're
writers...
like, "Hey, did you finish that episode?" Yeah, it's fine.
They had to leave and maybe the writer's strike happened around this time. I don't know.
Oh, actually, I think it did.
It was around that time, but I feel like the writer's strike didn't
but it would have
affect
been
The
written
Simpsons.
before.
I don't think it really hurt that show as much as it hurt other people. I don't know. Maybe the writer's strike is it. Maybe they had to do 2-3 seasons worth of scripts in the same period of time, and they just couldn't put the drafts. But then hire more writers. You're The Simpsons. You can afford it. I can't understand how this episode could have. After 3 or 4 drafts, you could not fix a lot of these problems.
Yeah.
It was such a fucking mess.
The first fix is pull the mattress stuff out. Take that away.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to have ghost sex?
I keep telling you, ghost sex is nothing. It's worse than nothing.
Then why were you moaning last time?
Because I'm a ghost. Ooh.
Ah, a ghost!
Okay, so that's it for the Boys of Bummer. We are now going to rank it on our tests, our 4-factor analysis here. We're looking at the humor, the integrity, the production, and the originality of the episode. Humor and integrity are weighted more highly, so we'll put 2 minutes on the clock. Here we go. Humor of this episode, Jack. Boys of Bummer, what do you think? 0 to 5.
I feel like a 1 might be a little too generous. There was, like I said, first act no, but a couple of, there were a couple things I liked later.
There were a couple of things we liked. Not much.
I'm wavering between 0.5 and 1. I don't know.
I think I'm going to go 0.5, just because this was not a very humorous episode. The integrity of the episode. So we're looking at a lot of different things here. The characters, were they themselves?
They did a lot of great Marge jokes. We saw some jerk-ass Homer. Bart, it's not that it was out of character. There was no character. We didn't see inside Bart's head at all.
I mean, like I said a number of times in this episode, I feel like this was 2 episodes smushed together that weren't really working. And it feels like that because there's not a lot of connective tissue between the scenes. Now, is that integrity or is that originality?
I think it's a little both.
I think it's a little both.
I don't think there's bad character in this. Like, I don't think this episode is broken in the way that Homer was broken in Manatees in the Israeli episode.
Right.
I think it's just. I mean, the story is certainly broken.
With a few tweaks, it could have been good.
Right, a few twists.
And a few.
I'm gonna say. Look, I'm gonna just say 1. I'm gonna say 1.
I think I'm gonna agree with you on 1.
I'm taking a little away from it. I'm going to take a lot more away from it in the originality category.
Sure. Production 0 to 5. You liked a lot of the production.
I like that sunrise shot. I like the music. The Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Wasn't crazy about that slow motion shot.
Yeah. I don't know. There was nothing especially great to me.
2.5. I could even maybe go 3.
I might go 2. There was just nothing visually exciting in this episode. Not that the plot called for it, but the plot didn't call for much.
They could have done more with the baseball.
They could have done more with baseball, yeah. And finally, the originality of this episode. Well,
all right, again, a great idea for a story, just like the Blue and the Gray.
Right.
Great grounded idea for a character-based plot.
Yeah.
Homer the Mattress Salesman, not so much.
Homer the Mattress Salesman was terrible, so I'm going to deduct 2.5 points right off the bat.
And then in terms of the execution, the structure of the story,
it was bad.
That's a 0 right there. 1. I'll give it the 1. The 1 point is for the good idea, and then everything else is just.
We're in sync today, so I'm gonna also give it a 1.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have crunched our numbers, and the Boys of Bummer from season 18 has ranked pretty low. It is a slightly worse episode than Father Knows Worse, which is pretty low to begin with, and a slightly better episode than Lisa Goes Gaga.
That's a very good spot.
What company to be in?
Again, this is a really, on all levels, a bad episode. It just wasn't fundamentally broken like our worst episode title holders have been.
Yeah. I mean, we had like systematic problems with our 4 worst episodes. So this just slides in as just an especially
the biggest problem, I think,
poorly done episode.
It didn't do enough drafts, or it was all in the script.
So that's a bummer.
Yeah,
And that's the end of our summer.
I mean, again, if there was one problem, if there was a Jock Gales moment in this episode, let's just point this out one more time. Bart attempted suicide.
Yeah, I think we kind of glossed over that when we were doing our rankings,
Yeah.
but that factored in very
I'm
heavily.
happy that I gave the integrity score low.
All right, so that is it for this episode of Worst Episode Ever. If you have an episode you'd like us to watch, you can go to our website. It's weepodcast.com. That's WEE podcast.com. We have a form where you can submit episodes for us to watch. You can submit good episodes if you want, because I'm a little bummed out after watching all these terrible episodes.
Yeah, give us more whale death.
Yeah, right. But you can go there. You can check out our Reddit, our subreddit rather, our Twitter, our Facebook, all of our fun stuff. All the places you can find us on the internet are at wepodcast.com, and also our Amazon links. We appreciate you guys just clicking on the banners and our links and just shopping like you normally would. That helps keep the podcast free.
And I want to give a quick shout out to a good buddy of mine, Chris LaRoche, who made a nice big purchase on Amazon through We to help with the YMCA and his community. So that was really cool.
Nice.
It's nice when you guys use the money for good and we get a percentage of that, but you don't have to.
No, you can
if you want to
clearly use it for evil.
buy weapons.
Does Amazon sell weapons? Probably.
Yeah,
They sell like airsoft guns.
They do, but I think it depends on what state you're in. They won't ship it. I think the shipping is a problem.
If you want to buy a mattress on Amazon,
I was gonna
sell them.
I was gonna say mattress porn, but no, as long as we're getting a piece of the action.
That's right, as long as Daddy gets a taste. And if you're in the Brooklyn area and you want to come to Woohoo Classic Simpsons Trivia, it's coming up. It's the first Thursday of October. I don't know what date it is, but it's the first Thursday in October. We do that with friend of the show, Dan Ozzie, at Berry Park in Williamsburg. And this month is going to be our costume contest, so that's always a really fun one. We'll definitely share pictures with the guys and gals out there who are not in the Brooklyn area, but if you are, you should come by. It's real fun. Next week, going to do another one.
Yeah.
50th episode.
Big 50th anniversary.
Jack, we've been here for 50 long weeks.
We've been here one night.
We've been here one night, yes. This is all one day. But because it is our 50th episodery, we are going to be doing Worst Episode Ever from Season 12.
Cool. All right,
our
cool.
namesake episode. It's all about Comic Book
I
Guy.
have a feeling it won't be our worst episode
Well,
ever. But
probably not, but we'll see. So we're going to watch that one, Season 12's Worst Episode Ever.
Awesome.
We'll do that next week.
And I think we'll also wrap up. From time to time, maybe we'll still plug the cat form, and it'll be there. If you guys want to submit the cut all this,
yes,
please keep doing so. We still have a few more to get us through the next few episoes.
But we always want more. We want to hear from you guys.
We don't want to keep saying it over and over every week. So you get the idea. Find the form. We'll probably bring it up every once in a while. But for now, we're officially ending our call for cats.
Right.
But we're not ending the cat
in.
system. So keep meowing.
We'll still take your cats.
Yeah. And that said, we're going to end this one with a cat, and it's from John Petrie, short but sweet. So take it away, John.
Dan and Jack are boring old biddies.
You're listening to KBBL, your official Bart Simpson Sucks station.
Oh, and here comes another Bash Bart block, starting with this entry from Jimbo Dolphin Curdy.
Bart stinks!